Hello and welcome back to the 100 Days of Making Comics series, day 6. And today is a, an exciting one for me because I am getting into color theory, which is actually something that I'm confident in talking about with any sort of proficiency. You know what I mean. Before this, it was all character design in terms of webcomics, which was not something that I was practiced at. But when it comes to colors and color theory, that is, basically the same in every form of art. So I am already well versed in color theory. So I can actually talk about it today. So I have a list written down. And let's get right into it. So I on the very first episode, you saw that I had made a color palette for my main character Tori right here, and I didn't end up doing anything with that because I realized that I should do a value sketch first, meaning that I put down shades of black and white and gray, in order to make a well contrasting value scale for her, so that the her shapes all stand out well from each other and on first glance are very easily read as what they're supposed to be. I don't want people to have trouble looking at any of my pages. I don't want them to look at it and think, oh, I have to squint and kind of think about it to differentiate her face from her hair and her hair from her shirt and her shirt from her pants and stuff. So I figured out the value sketch, and that was helpful. I did tinker with it just slightly when I was doing the colors, because colors do affect value as well, and putting certain colors next to each other of certain values will make a better color palette than if I didn't. That was very vague. Hold on, let me start over. So I want her to be predominantly blue. That is her main color, and that decision was made based on her personality and how I viewed her. So colors themselves, just like how I talked about shapes in character design, shape language, colors also have meaning, and blue is usually reserved, calm, cold, not necessarily cruel, but just maybe a little closed off and such. And I also chose her other colors that she wears to be cool toned. So cool tones and warm tones and colors will affect the overall tone of the that's, once again, I said I can explain it, but I didn't say that I could explain it well. So warm tones are usually bright, happy, outgoing, extroverted characters, and cool tones are usually quiet, reserved, introverted characters. And so I wanted her to have a cool toned color palette. So her main color is blue. Her secondary color is like a grayish blue, and her tertiary color or accent color is basically her skin. it ends up being a kind of yellowy skin tone. Her skin tone is more yellow, and I chose yellow because that is, in terms of like blues and greens, that is on like the cooler side of the color wheel, whereas an orange or pinky skin tone would be too warm toned for the cool toned colors of her hair and her clothes. So her skin tone is her accent color, and it's a sort of yellowy skin tone, yellowy peach. And so I also used, after I fill in like all the basic blocking of the colors and stuff, and I'm happy with the color and its value. I'm happy that the color is like makes sense where it is, and that it contrasts well and is easily readable as being, you know, shoes or being pants or being a shirt. It contrasts well. I'm just repeating myself. Once I was happy with the colors and their values, then I started to mess with the color layer and chose a whole slew of, you know, layer modes that would affect the color layer in different ways. And part of how I color is I lay down just a single block of color all through her figure, and then I make a clipping group, and that way I don't have to continuously worry about accidentally coloring outside of the lines, because I can just, you know, throw my mouse wherever and it only colors over that initial blocking layer. And so I changed that blocking layer to a purple color so that when I, you know, experiment with the color layer modes, the under layer of that purple will shine through and it will make her colors more cohesive. Because I did try to make them look good together already right out of the gate without any special layer modes. But to make them even more cohesive, I decided to do like an undercolor to really marry them all together and make them nice and pretty looking, and as pretty looking as I can make them. And, you know, I thought that I would have more to say, but yeah, I mean, like, just some, you know, color palette advice for characters is that having only 2 or 3, maybe 4 colors at a time, and having the character be mostly one color, and then the secondary color be the second most used color, and then the accent color is the least used. And the accent color can be any color. I recommend it being a complementary color to your primary color. So, like, her skin is her accent color because it is closer to orange than any of the others, and orange is a complementary color to blue. So the accent color does stand out against the blue tones of the rest of her outfit and her hair. And so now I'm starting to do the disco strobe lights method of just clicking a layer mode and seeing if I like it. And I'll be doing this next episode as well. Next video, I will be okay, next episode is another drawing, but this time I'm focusing my color my coloring and my art style on like the landscape and the whole rest of the comic outside of just the human figures, um and I'm actually really proud of how that turned out. I really really like it. uh and I basically do the same thing as I do here. You can see on the bottom of her character color palette is another color palette, and that's just the environment color palette, mostly for outdoors. But it's good to have a limited color palette for characters and for the rest of your comic in general, because it's super hard to make the like all 7 colors of the rainbow look good together if you don't have a limited color palette. So if you do have a limited color palette, it not only forces you to be a little creative in what colors you make things, but also prevents you from accidentally making your comic look either really muddy because you have every single color of that you can think of on the page, or super like super saturated or super contrasting or super clashing to the point that it like hurts to look at. Personally, I think when I read comics, the color choices and the amount of contrast that is there in the pages really affects my experience of reading it. Most of the time, if the colors are super contrasting, meaning that most of the colors are complementary colors, so like it's a black and white comic except for the 2 colors of red and green or orange and blue, that that hurts my eyes. I have pretty sensitive eyes, so I know it's not like this for everybody, but because it's like this for me, I do keep this in mind. Having my color palette be solely like complementary colors really hurts my eyes. And also when I read a comic where there is no contrast, where the colors, where the values of all the colors like are really mid-tones, there's no darks and there's no lights to easily differentiate forms from each other, that also hurts my eyes to look at. And it's straining. It makes it more of an effort than it should. And so I take the values and the colors of my comic very seriously. I just want it to look good. I want to, be able to like look at any page and be like, ah, pretty. you know, just independent of any dialogue or anatomy mistakes. If I can just glance at it and not squint my eyes against the colors, then I think I have succeeded in making an aesthetically pleasing comic, if not a well written or well drawn one. Though I do hope it is well written and well drawn. I have confidence, obviously, in myself, but it's still a little scary to, put things out there and say, okay, what do you think? So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow. And yeah, that's all. Thank you. Goodbye.